Welcome back. So, I think this therapy is working fairly nicely. These are getting easier, as a matter of fact. Um, I'm actually kind of looking forward to reading the next part. So, yeah, I have a lot of ideas for the edit. And I'm slowly getting my mojo back. So, yeah. Um, Welcome back. Uh, I did say I wasn't gonna do this every time, honestly. Did not. Uh, and it's not like I have that many more people to shout out for, but I do have one more. And that would be Turbo Skeleton. What's the entire thing? Skeletron, sorry, Turbo Skeletron, Skeletron Turbo. Over on Twitter, and I'm not gonna forget the kindness that they showed me. They literally somehow went and found my Wattpad and they reminded me of they actually looked at them first and foremost. And I was just like, wait, what? Mention my poetry book. And I had completely forgotten that I did poetry. I forgot that I'd done that. And I'm not gonna forget that kindness anytime soon. So this one is dedicated to them, and I hope that whatever they're doing, wherever they are, I hope that they are having a great day. Anyway, um, yeah, let's just jump into this. Oh, God. Oh, there's gonna be cringe, isn't there? Oh, no. Okay. So, chapter 2, just another day. I woke up the next morning feeling thankful that I got a full night's sleep with no interruptions or rifts. I was weary down to my bones, stiff joints crackling and popping as I shifted around. I laid there, staring at the freckles on my spotted ceiling until my alarm went off. Today was Friday, and I had work today. It was the only reason I seemed to get up nowadays. I took a quick shower, going through the motions of my routine like I did every day, until I was staring at the reflection of the person everyone saw as a defect. I hated the need to disguise my I hated the need to disguise myself, but it was necessary. I didn't care for the family downstairs knowing that I had magical talent, nor did I relish the questions that would follow, hence the contacts and glasses. If hazel eyes and thin wire glasses was what it took to keep my secret safe, then so be it. I grabbed my bag and a dirty dish from last night's dinner and went downstairs. I was dressed in an Assassin's Creed Unity t-shirt. By the way, I had such high hopes for that game. I fell asleep within the first 20 minutes. Faded out gray jeans with a fraying tear in the on the left thigh, and black and white Nike sneakers. My brown locks were pulled up into a messy bun. Paired with my geeky glasses, it was a rather convincing picture. All in all, I looked like a school nerd ready for their day of reading at the library instead of my real task for the day, which was cleaning up and dusting the vault with my coworker, the elderly Rosa, a kind old witch with an affinity for the wind and who was a mean cleaning machine. Spoiler alert, I love Rosa. Ready for the day, I hopped quickly down the stairs, stopping by the kitchen at my grandmother's steely-eyed stare, and I meekly poked my head through the doorway. She was making egg omelets for breakfast, and she was humming merrily under her breath while she stirred and tended to the frying pan. My mother and Trevor were up and about, sitting together at the breakfast table. I didn't know exactly what Trevor did, but he was some sort of executive down on Wall Street, and today he was all dressed up in a spiffy gray suit that complemented his tan features. So I don't know why, but to this day I always spell gray the UK way instead of the American way. I don't know why. The A just doesn't 100% look right. And they both mean the same thing. But whatever. My mother was in her bathrobe, sharing a cup of coffee with him before he left for the day. My eyes once again landed on my grandmother and her curt throat clearing. Catherine, do you mind? And I was pleasantly surprised at the brown paper bag she left. The cringe is my reading skill. I don't read aloud that much, especially for other people, because people watch these and I don't know why. Who knows though? Maybe nobody will watch this one, then I won't get called out for that. Maybe. I don't know. And I was pleasantly surprised at the brown paper bag she held out for me. I took it gently and examined the contents that had heat seeping from the bag. It was a freshly made breakfast sandwich that smelled like heaven to my rumbling stomach. Oh, thank you, Gran. Oh, that's awkward. I had to change my tone of voice at the end because I was still trying to figure out what to call her without making it sound like a question. I had only met her a year before. I have no idea what that is. It's fine. When I first moved here, we didn't really hang out much. She nodded down at the pan once again, merrily humming. I took that as my cue to leave, this time with a renewed fervor in my step. Happily, I ate the gooey, egg-filled, cheesy goodness that had just the right amount of crispy bacon paired with a toasted ciabatta bun. Can y'all tell that I love my breakfast sandwiches? I really do. I finished it just before I entered the rift to the waiting room to join the crowd surrounding the elevators. But I had a smile on my face today, so the wait didn't seem nearly as long as it was. Maybe things were looking up. Oh, hold on to that, sweetheart. I still had the smile on my face. Fine, whatever. I still had a smile on my face when I walked into the office 10 minutes later. 3 minutes shy of 7 a.m. Hey, look, she got a 30-minute, she got to stay in for 30 minutes. That's nice. Rosa looked up from her morning cup of Earl Grey tea and smiled warmly at me. Good morning, dearie. Are you ready to fix the mess the boys always seem to leave for us today? She accompanied to my office, sitting primly in one of the chairs as I took off my glasses and contacts. Yeah, just let me figure out what needs to be cataloged and stuff. I swear, Fuck, I did it again? Sorry. As I said this, I turned around and booted up my computer while grabbing the papers that were waiting for me in my tray, courtesy of Simon, no doubt. Where was everyone yesterday? I was the only one here for a good while. Rose's eyes gleamed with happiness. Well, I don't know where the others were, but I took the day off. My beloved Andre and I were celebrated yesterday. My retirement papers came in. In 1 year, I will be a retired woman, happily bathing in the glowing rays of the Caribbean while drinking mimosas on the beach. She let out a happy sigh and then did a butt wiggle in the air. Air? What the hell is with my reading today? Oh, heck no. Sorry, I just gotta get my dog to let her in, but she just wants the door open. I opened it, Bree looked at me, and then she walked off. Naturally. So I just shut it again. Did a butt wiggle in the chair. I grinned, happy for her and her success. You had better send me the pictures and lots of souvenirs if you're going to leave me with all of these boys. I paused briefly, sadness seeping through me, but I hid it for her sake. Oh, how I would miss her. Me too. Oh, what will I ever do without you? I rolled my eyes and grinned at her, now examining the papers in my hands. Something was off. Maybe Simon had forgotten to give the rest to me? I'll get to it later. I really don't know. I am pretty awesome. She puffed her chest out proudly and tossed her shoulder-length silvery hair back, doing her best to model on the runway in passion. She sighed, finished her tea, and got up, gesturing at me. Oh well, let's get to work. Those shelves won't dust themselves. Her eyes gleamed at the thought of wiping shelves and banishing dust bunnies back to the depths of nothingness from whence they came. It was, I believe it was Lori recently told me, if you don't clean that often this month, you can just say that, the dust bunnies are Halloween themed. Oh no, Bree, you had your chance. Leave it alone. I groaned at her abundant enthusiasm, but nevertheless complied, dropping the papers back onto my desk. I left everything the way it was, shutting my door behind me. Rosa chattered on and on about all of her plans for retirement while I smiled and nodded with her as we walked in unison down the hall, waving at the various people we saw. There was Trevor the newbie. Why did I have to have two Trevors? I mean, it does happen. Trevor is used to be a common name I don't know about now. To the office, who was doing the filing for the day. Since he was the newest, we gave him the worst jobs. Seriously, who would ever willingly file? But he took it all in stride, just glad for this job. He was in training with Roger, who was our in-house historian, on all of the objects the keepers brought back from our missions. Simon was busy typing away at insane speeds on his news keyboard, his sharp eyes glued to the computer screen. It was his fourth keyboard this month. Our intern Xander walked out of the break room with a steaming mug of caffeine and sleep in his eyes, heading to man our receptionist desk. He didn't seem to notice us as we walked by, but then again, he didn't really like to interact this early in the morning. Me? The last person we saw before we reached the shiny steel door that led to the vault was my least favorite person, Peter. Oh, yes, Peter, I remember you. He was a keeper like me, but I was his senior by quite a few years. He's only been working here for the last year and a half, and I've been here for almost 5 years. Yes, she's 17. Internships start early, okay? He was very much a misogynist and absolutely hated me. The feeling was mutual. He gave me a nasty stare, and I cheekily waved back at him. I could feel his laser-like eyes digging into the back of my head, like he could burn me into oblivion as I walked by. He's jealous, wouldn't you know? At last, we reached the vault. With its big, shiny steel door, it looked impressive, and with its name, you would assume it led to a room filled to the brim with treasure. Both Rose and I scanned our irises, gave the scanner a drop of our blood, and let it scan our fingerprints. Then, for good measure, swiped our keycards for access. Good God, that's mouthy. All of that completed with a big steamy hiss, and the heavy-set door swung open. There was no creak, like you would expect. It was all rather melodramatic, if you ask me, except for the security. That was totally called for, because what was inside the vault never should be seen by anyone outside of this office. The objects stored in there held too much power. Power that, when harnessed, could do great things. Terrible, but great. Yes, I did just quote Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling got that sentence right. Don't come at me, I still love Harry Potter. My inner musings were cut short when I took a deep breath and immediately began wheezing to death, the dust bunnies that I had just inhaled clinging to my insides like termites giggling at my attempts to breathe and not sneeze or cough. Rosa patted my back sympathetically, handing me a surgical breathing mask they always give to sick patients. They always give sick patients. I hated those things, still hate them. It always made me feel claustrophobic, what with breathing my own hot, sticky breath back in and the itchiness of the fabric. Damn, if teenage me didn't just predict my predicament with the whole COVID thing when I had to wear them. But it was either the masks or the murderous dust mites, so I took the lesser of the two evils. Rose's eyes gleamed at all the dust that marred the numerous shells. I could practically see her sweat in anticipation. Rosa loved to clean. As for me, I knew what battles I could win and what battles I would lose. That's why I stuck my earphones in my ears, turned on my tunes, and brandished a rag. Me with my mother. Hours. Time became a long abyss-like tunnel, the light at the end of it, my freedom diminishing as time went on. I would like to say this is dramatic, but I still feel this way. Anytime we have an all-day cleaning thing, it's like, oh my god. What felt like eternity was simply hours of back-breaking arthritis-causing hard work. The worst part was Rosa was happy the entire time. That's a demon for damn sure. Oh, that's okay. Ironic that if her eyes gleamed any more, I would assume she was some sort of demon. I did not read the trash bags she had brandished from her pockets just after we started were filled to the brim with dusty rags and stacked in a towering pile. The shelves and the containers that held the many different objects were now dustless, sparkling under the luminescent lights. I took off the sweaty face mask and took my first deep breath, eternally grateful that there were no more dust mites to inhale. As much as it sucked, cleaning had its uses. Now, I will say real quick, yes, this is a magical universe, but the thing is that everyone has different magical abilities. Eli can do basic, I believe the term is psychokinesis or telekinesis, basic. She can't just command rags. Her gifts are not in the sense of a typical witch. Those do exist, but they don't let anyone in this vault for, well, reasons already stated. So regular elbow grease is used here. Yes. Yeah, she doesn't have like the whole okay, we went to like Harry Potter school and did a cleanio or whatever it is. No, she's got to do it all herself. I used this opportunity to examine the objects held on the many shelves, now that they were uncovered in dust. A pen, some clothes, a vial of blood, some coats of armor. There was a lot of objects in this place, and even more shelves ready to be filled. I examined just a few of the shelves, walking around before heading back to where Rosa was sitting cross-legged on the cold concrete floor, organizing the mounds of paper around her with brutal efficiency. I sat down as well, wordlessly grabbing a pile and beginning to alphabetize the contents based on the shelf number, neatly labeled at the top. Now it was time to catalog and update all of our paperwork. We had electronic records, but since Simon was so uptight about being prepared, he loved those doomsday prepper people. The irony is that I used to make fun of them as a teenager, and now I'm more akin to one of them. He wanted hard copies just in case the power went out, or the zombies came and ate us. Whichever comes first. Naturally, us girls got stuck with the paper. My wondering eyes noticed a small box with a band-aid on it and grinned. Rosa always got paper cuts, so she always had some band-aids on hand. I flexed my fingers, looking at the mounds of paper around us. Yeah, we might need all the bandages we could get. Rosa and I worked in silence, almost to the end of the shelved items when she suddenly spoke up. Oh dear, we seem to have a problem. Oh no, not a problem. Rosa's perturbed voice snuck quietly through my music, making me look up. Muffling a yawn, I slowly stood and stretched. Rosa frowned, then quick as a bunny. Okay, an elderly bunny. She was up and fast walking down the aisles, calling after me to hurry up. Obligingly, I took my sweet time walking down and stretching my muscles. When I reached Rosa, she was standing in front of the shelf, madly flipping through her many papers, her pretty curls all in disarray. Where is it? Where's the button? My lips twitched as I fought the grin, threatening to spread. Seriously? A button? What is missing, Rosa? I asked her softly, suddenly fearing that manic gleam in her eye. It was like trying to soothe a spooked tiger that was on guard. It freaked me out. I had never seen Rosa quite like this. The button! The button from his coat! From Dracula's coat! Rosa groaned in despair, which thankfully covered up my amused snort. Let's be. I coughed, fighting in vain to keep my laughter in check. We have a button? A button in the fall from Dracula's coat. I wheezed with laughter, tears streaming down my dusty face. Rosa looked very cross with me, veins popping out of her forehead. This isn't a laughing matter, Eliana, she snapped at me, and I stopped laughing immediately, my amused grin turning into a disgruntled frown. She knows I hate my name, which is why she only uses it when she needs me to pay attention, like now. Dracula is the most powerful vampire alive, consequently, one of the oldest. The button we had was from his coat, which is his trademark, but it is stained with dark blood. Really, headset? You had to turn off on me. Okay. Powerful blood. Tainted blood. We don't know what the source of it was, nor shall we ever know, I am sure. She paused, blowing out a breath with a huff. I took this opportunity to be serious. So, we had this button in here because of this old blood. How did we even get the button off of Drax's coat? Why didn't we just buy him a new coat and take his current one? I didn't understand. Why would a vampire want to keep this dirty old coat anyway? All the vampires I had met were more into the current styles and blitz that Hollywood celebrities brought. Were you listening to me when I said he was old and powerful? You don't just go up to someone and say, "Hey, here is this coat. Give us that old contaminated one, Eli." Besides, the button would have been fine if one of his next victims hadn't just had a lovely blood disease, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Rosa had a disgusted look on her face at talking about the vampire's victims. My confusion must have showed on my face because she clarified what the disease was. AIDS, Eli darling. You know the disease kids get when they don't use protect. I quickly cut her off, cheeks burning, and I began to sing la 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 la. Rosa laughed mischievously, continuing in her tale. Anyway, the tainted blood was still fresh, and it sort of magnified the diseased blood, making the disease highly contagious touch-wise. It sort of kick-started the disease, at least until the button got ripped off Dracula's coat in a skirmish, leaving it in the mud for future travelers to find, such as yourself. We got a hold of it, and it sat here in this magically null box. Until now. Rosa glared at the empty box as if expecting it to give up its secrets. I sighed, feeling a migraine come on. Okay. A button from a powerful vampire's coat has a magically enhanced version of AIDS that can be spread through touch, which used to be here in the vault but was now missing. Was my work ever done? To be fair, this is a very, very funny situation. I just wanted something funny. And now I'm just sitting here, like, thinking ahead of, like, huh, the irony. I sighed again and began to sort through the shelves, calling out to Rosa, "Maybe it's hiding somewhere on the shelf. Let's just look for it." And so we did. I was on my hands and knees, looking under all the nearby nooks and crannies. Rosa was up high, standing primly on the ladder, meticulously looking through every nearby shelf. 20 minutes later, we convened with no success. It's a button, for goodness sakes. It can't have gotten far, and if someone wanted to steal it, then why just it and not the other stuff? Rosa nodded, deep in thought. She began to walk slowly back to the steel doors when her eyes lit up, looking at the bags of dust. There! I bet it's from one of those bags, she exclaimed, hurrying over to stare at them in happy satisfaction. I groaned loudly. Bree! We have to go through all those bags? That'll take all day! Rosa looked at me with merry amusement. She chuckled, then gently pat my shoulder. Oh no, Eli. We'll let the boys handle it while we go out for lunch, she said with a sly gleam in her hazel eyes. I slowly grinned at her, then opened the vault door and held it open as she levitated the numerous bags through the doorway and down the hall to Peter's office, where he and Trevor were in a hefty discussion complaining about their home lives and responsibilities. When Peter's whiny voice hit my ears, I grinned and stopped Rosa. Together we put our heads against the wall and listened, smiling at each other. And now we have a dog, one of those little yappy things that never stops barking and crying and looks like a rat. Oh, and the smell is absolutely horrible. And because the twins are just barely 4, guess who gets to walk the damn thing? Me. I told Lucille I wasn't picking up after it, but that went in one ear and out the other. So I'm a poop picker as well. I hate dogs. He finished his long tirade before noticing the bags just floating in his office. Rosa winked it to me, hazmat suits appearing in her hands. Clearing her throat, she walked in, her scary hawk face on. Both Trevor and Peter looked on warily as she thrust the suits in their hands. You two get to go through these bags, she gestured the big pile behind her, and see if you can find a button. When you do, put it in this bag here and put it back in its proper place on shelf 2G, slot 567. She tossed the bag that she had just summoned at Peter and turned on her heel to walk out. I poked in my head in to warn them, figuring Rosa wouldn't. When you find it, don't touch anything with your bare hands, otherwise Lucille won't be too pleased with your next, physical? I pointedly turned my eyes down and winked at Peter. He swore and glared at me menacingly, seeing as he could get away with it, since Rose's back was retreating down the hall. After some files, he quickly nudged under his desk, which looked suspiciously like my missing paperwork from before. But I withdrew my head and walked down the hall with a thoughtful look on my face. I'll get him back later. I looked at Rosa as I entered her office. So, where shall we eat? I'm paying. I'm thinking that would be a good time to stop. So, and I do want to mention another thing is that another reason, like, Rosa does have more capability of, like, using spells and things than Eli. Um, but you don't want to use spells in there, considering that anything wrong. I mean, you've got a vault filled to the brim with hundreds, if not thousands, of magical artifacts that can take this magic and do God knows what. So there's that. Uh, as for the button, am I seeing plot holes or am I just seeing Eli not wanting to mention things later? A little bit, but yeah, the button. The button is a problem. At the time when I was writing this, I just was looking at getting kind of something funny I was like, what's something that could be like ridiculous, right? But then eventually I was like, I could do something with this, like this button, right? Because yes, vampires are, at least in my universe here, they are a little bit more prim and proper. They do like the fashion, everything else, suits and whatnot. Dracula does like his jacket. It is something it's his trademark. It's one of the few things that he won't let go. And he wants it as restored as possible. As you can see, that might become an issue later. Because, buttons from thousands of years ago, you can't exactly get those back, right? So, yeah. He's a vintage dude. He doesn't want to put modern stuff on his old jacket. Thankfully, he doesn't wear it that much anymore. But if he does, you damn well better listen, because when he's wearing it, that means his old personality is coming out, and it's the personality nobody wants to mess with. Because, Dracula. Anyway, I will see whoever is still here next week. Maybe I don't know. I'm making myself do these until I'm done with this, and basically, yeah, it's I gotta get over myself, man. I just gotta get over myself. So, and I started it, so I will finish it. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys had a good one, and I will see you guys later, maybe. Have a great day. Bye.